Marcus Thompson tapped his fingers on the steering wheel to the beat of jazz floating through his car speakers. 11 p.m. The hospital had kept him late again. A 12-hour shift turned 14 when an emergency case arrived. His eyes burned from fatigue, but satisfaction warmed his chest. He'd saved a life today. Streetlights cast alternating patterns of gold and shadow across his face as he drove through the quiet suburban streets. The BMW hummed beneath him, a reward he'd given himself after finishing medical school, paying off loans, and securing his position at Riverside Memorial. Almost home, Marcus murmured, checking his watch. Desiree would be waiting up, probably curled on the couch with her legal briefs. Their neighborhood, Oakwood Heights, appeared ahead, neat houses with manicured lawns. A place where they'd felt they could build a future. Red and blue lights suddenly flashed in his rearview mirror. Marcus frowned, checking his speedometer. He wasn't speeding. What could this be about? Marcus pulled over smoothly, positioning his car properly against the curb. He took a deep breath, then placed both hands on the steering wheel where they could be clearly seen. The flashing lights painted eerie patterns across his dashboard. The officer approached, flashlight beam cutting harshly through Marcus's window. "License and registration," barked Officer Ray Daniels without any greeting or explanation for the stop. "May I ask why I'm being pulled over, sir?" Marcus asked politely, keeping his voice steady. "I said license and registration," Daniels repeated, his tone sharpening. "You matched a description." Marcus nodded slowly. "I'm going to reach for my wallet now," he narrated carefully before moving his hand. The beam of light followed his every movement. He handed over his identification. "Dr. Thompson?" Daniels scanned the license, eyebrows raising slightly. His tone didn't soften. "Step out of the vehicle." "Officer, I'm just heading home from my shift at Riverside Memorial." "I don't understand." "Out of the vehicle now." Each word landed like a hammer blow. Marcus complied, his heart hammering against his ribs. The cool night air hit his face as he stepped onto the asphalt. "Hands on the hood," Daniels ordered, suddenly joined by his partner, Officer Pete Walcott. "This isn't necessary," Marcus protested, even as he placed his palms against the warm metal of his car. "Spread your legs," Walcott commanded, kicking at Marcus's feet to widen his stance. "What's that in your pocket?" Daniels demanded, spotting the bulge of Marcus's phone. "It's just my cell phone." "I can show you." Marcus moved his hand instinctively. "Don't move," Daniels shouted, his hand immediately flying to his holster. In one fluid motion, his weapon was drawn and pointed directly at Marcus's chest. "Hands where I can see them." Marcus froze, terror flooding his system. The barrel of the gun looked impossibly large, a black hole threatening to swallow his entire future. "Please," he whispered, voice cracking. "I'm a doctor." "That's my phone." "Shut up." Walcott circled behind, roughly grabbing Marcus's wrists and yanking them behind his back. "You're hurting me," Marcus gasped as cold metal handcuffs bit into his skin. "Stop resisting." Daniels shouted. Though Marcus had offered no resistance, time seemed to slow. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat, thundering in his ears. One wrong move, one misinterpretation, and everything could end right here on this quiet suburban street. "Hey! What are you doing to him?" A woman's voice cut through the tension. Daniels turned sharply. Across the street, Zoe Washington stood on her porch, smartphone raised and recording. "I'm filming everything," she called out, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hand. "Ma'am, this is police business," Walcott warned. "Return to your home." "I'm not going anywhere," Zoe replied firmly. "That's Dr. Thompson. He delivered my baby last year." Two more neighbors emerged from nearby houses, phones glowing in the darkness. "Why is he in handcuffs?" demanded Trevor Rodriguez from his driveway. "Everyone back inside," Daniels shouted, the gun still aimed at Marcus. "Not until you lower that weapon," Zoe answered, stepping closer, her phone capturing every detail. "The world is watching you right now. Live streaming." The officers exchanged glances. Slowly, Reluctantly, Daniels holstered his weapon. "This isn't right," Marcus said quietly, standing tall despite the cuffs. "And now everyone sees it." By morning, Zoe's video had gone viral. The hashtag Justice for Marcus trended across social platforms. Marcus's wife, Desiree, a civil rights attorney, moved quickly, organizing a community meeting at New Hope Baptist Church. "They targeted my husband for driving while black in his own neighborhood," Desiree declared to the packed room. "This stops now." Pastor Jerome King stepped forward. "We will march peacefully, but we will be heard." Community leaders drafted demands: immediate suspension of the officers, an independent investigation, and comprehensive reform of police procedures. Riverside Hospital staff arrived wearing their white coats, standing in solidarity with their colleague. "Dr. Thompson saves lives every day," stated Dr. Elijah Crawford, the chief of surgery. And last night, his life was threatened without cause. By afternoon, hundreds gathered outside police headquarters, carrying signs reading, "Protect our doctors," and "No more racial profiling." Marcus, still shaken but resolute, addressed the crowd. "This isn't just about me. It's about ensuring safety and dignity for everyone in our community." News vans lined the streets. Reporters thrust microphones toward anyone willing to speak. Breaking news tonight as protests erupt following the unjustified detainment of prominent surgeon Dr. Marcus Thompson, announced Channel 7's Vanessa Cruz, broadcasting live. The mayor's office released a statement promising swift action and complete transparency. As phone calls flooded City Hall, state representatives issued statements condemning the incident. Senator Gloria Hayes scheduled an emergency town hall meeting. National civil rights organizations offered legal support. The hospital board publicly backed Marcus with a full-page newspaper advertisement. "The video evidence speaks for itself," proclaimed civil rights attorney Benjamin Ward on a primetime interview. "What happened to Dr. Thompson happens daily to countless others, but this time, we have irrefutable proof." Police Chief Raymond Alvarez announced an internal affairs investigation within 48 hours of the incident. "We take these allegations extremely seriously," he stated at a press conference, perspiration visible on his forehead. "The officers involved have been placed on administrative leave pending a complete review." Body camera footage, reluctantly released after public pressure, contradicted the officers' initial report. Their claim that Marcus had been combative and threatening dissolved when viewers witnessed his calm compliance. The district attorney appointed Special Prosecutor Lydia Chen to examine possible criminal charges against Daniels and Walcott. "No one is above the law," Chen declared. "Not even those sworn to uphold it." When questioned about his officers' conduct, Sergeant Frank Miller broke ranks. "What happened that night violates everything in our training," he testified before the Civilian Oversight Board. "There was no probable cause for the stop, no justification for escalation." The police union's typical wall of silence began to crack as younger officers demanded accountability from within. The courthouse steps teemed with supporters as the verdict was announced. Both officers were found guilty of civil rights violations. Daniels received additional charges for excessive force and filing false reports. "This marks a beginning, not an end," Marcus told reporters, his arm around Desiree's shoulders. "True justice requires ongoing change." Chief Alvarez, working with community leaders, implemented sweeping reforms, mandatory de-escalation training, civilian oversight expansion, and transparent complaint procedures. Body cameras became non-negotiable, with footage accessible through public records requests. At the Oakwood Heights Community Center, Marcus established monthly forums where residents and police officers engaged in facilitated conversations. "Breaking bread together breaks barriers," he explained during the inaugural dinner. The city council allocated funds for youth programs connecting teenagers with law enforcement mentors. Officer Gabriela Sanchez, newly promoted, led these initiatives. 1 year later, Marcus stood before medical students at Riverside. "Our community faced its wounds honestly," he said. "Now we're healing together, step by step, creating the justice system everyone deserves."